you, Trustee Withrow. Secretary?
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for attending this evening. Madam Vice President, do we have any closed session items?
Mr. President, there is no readout from tonight's closed session.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there approval of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Mr. President, I'd like
Yes.
to pull for discussion the item on the Best Center.
Item number, sir?
I'm going to tell you in 2 seconds. Sorry.
23? I think it's 23.
Was that item 23?
23, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to just pull for discussion item 23, please.
Okay. Trustee Withrow, do you have item you want to
Yes,
pull?
I do. Item number 11.
All right.
The approval of the purchase for Apple equipment at Laney College.
Did you want that item pulled? Do
I'd
you
like
want
that
it
pulled for an action item as opposed to
action? Okay, thank you. All right. So we have action item 11 and discussion items number 23. All in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Can we get approval of the minutes for September the 27th, 2016?
So
please?
moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we have public communications. No.
Public communications. We have one speaker, President, and that is Ed Jaramillo from PFT.
Good evening. Good evening, Chancellor, Board President, Trustees, Administration. A couple of weeks ago at the last meeting, I came here with 50 of my PFT brothers and sisters. We stood before you to express our concern about the direction of the district. As I said then, as many of my colleagues emphasized, the runaway expansion of the administration is deeply troubling. Sadly, the trend shows no sign of reversing. A PFT review of VC Little's latest budget projections shows administrative spending is set to increase at an even greater rate than we thought. Over the last 2 years, management costs have gone up a staggering 30%. Worse, the management costs of the district are stated to go up 55% by 2017-18. And these enormous jumps are coming during a time when enrollment is declining, classes are being cut. Further, as management costs skyrocket, the district is telling faculty there's no money for decent raises or for part-time office hours. Meanwhile, working conditions at the college are not improving. Broken call boxes, dry water fountains, unclean restrooms, and the list goes on. Faculty working conditions are student learning conditions, and frankly, conditions are getting worse. Now comes an article in the East Bay Times alleging that the district may have violated the state law when it hired an IT contractor without following the proper bidding process. PFT has long raised concerns over the district's use of consultants, and this latest episode shows how well placed PFT concerns are. As we pointed out at the last board meeting, we now have a budget reserve of $14 million, the highest in memory. So there's plenty of money for questionable contracts with consulting firms, plenty of money for new management positions, and plenty of money to pile up an enormous reserve. But the district can't find office space for faculty. It can't upgrade classrooms. It can't pay part-timers for office hours. This is not a tenable state of affairs. PFT wants to work collegially with district administration to resolve these issues, and at the same time it's clear the district is on the wrong track. Faculty confidence in the district's administration is plummeting. Only a strong commitment to faculty and students they serve can start to put things in order. Thank you for the time, and have a good evening.
Thank you, President. Now we're down to social student government reports. Come forth, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Board of Trustees, and college presidents, administrators. My name is Ernie. I'm with the College of Alameda, Associate Student President. The College of Alameda recently went to a Regional 3 meeting on October 8th this past weekend, where we were fortunate to send 3 senators, 1 delegate and 2 senators to attend the meeting hosted by Berkeley City College. We want to thank them for that opportunity. There, the senators were able to learn about the different resolutions, the how to prepare for a town hall meeting, parliamentary procedures, codes of conduct, and how to meet the appropriate deadlines. We also had open mic last week, where, good to say, we had 20-plus participants. 10 of them actually was out there on stage, performing, doing the things. Hopefully, it's on the first Thursday of every month. Hopefully, we can see some of you guys come out and join us during open mic. Coming up events, we have Counselor Day at the end of the month, where the promotion, last time I was here, was basically educating students the importance of seeing a counselor so they get the proper guidance and the proper path on where their education needs to be going. I know a lot of students out there try to manage things on their own, but it's important that we get that message out there that that's a critical part of their education process, especially if you're transferring to a UC or to a state university. The Auto Club is actually having a flag football on October 25th. They are also doing an auto show for those that were able to see last year's. We're hoping to have a great turnout again on October 29th. And last but not least, we have the Halloween, where we've reached out to the local schools, Ruby Ridge, also to the daycare center, where we've invited them over, and perhaps some of the little small kids can go around the campus, and we'll be handing away little giveaways through the different department. We are asking for some of the staff, faculty, administrators to possibly dress up on that day. Maybe our college president can be a fairy. How's that sound? How's a fairy sound? Gilda, how's that sound?
I'll come as Michelle Obama.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We've got a bio there. So last but not least, we want to thank everybody for the opportunity to come out. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Slaughter, Vice President for ASLC for Laney College. And we'd like to report on moving forward with the food bank. So the food bank was spearheaded by Nona Claypool, and Nona Claypool at the moment now is our current ASLC president. And now with the understanding of the memorandum from Alameda County Food Bank, they're going to move forward, and we have a student who's going to step forward, Tavi Taos, and along with Director Albury and faculty Roger Chung, to move forward with Alameda County Food Bank and put it in place. And we have found a space for the food bank on the 4th floor next to Director Albury's office. And we also in the need of purchasing a refrigerator to bring this project forward. We have also appointed 5 new officers to the ASLC, and we almost have a full body. So also we will have a Halloween celebration here at the Student Center, spearheaded by the Culinary Arts Department, ASLC, and other clubs. And they have also invited the Child Care Services here at Laney. We have also chartered a total of 19 clubs so far this semester. And I'm just really proud that we have a coding club, an architecture club, and many others. Today on campus, on the quad, we held Transfer Day. And there was a lot of student activity there and a lot of involvement. So also we'll be having Club Rush. Club Rush will be November 1st on the quad. And all of our clubs will be there along with Associated Students of Laney. We have 2 participants who will be participating in the Women Student Leadership Institute this year, October 14th through the 18th. And that will be Miss Nona Claypool and Alicia Alston. Also, we are in support with the CARE Project. The CARE Project works here at Laney College along with our students. And the CARE Project awards families with a donation of approximately $35, $40 so that they can buy food for their families. And we supported that to the tune of $4,000 to support approximately 80 to 100 families. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. President, before we move on to the next item, I just need a point of clarification under the agenda on item 18, short-term assignments. The following changes should be noted. Alejandra Serdra, Staff Assistant, Merritt College, 10/21/16 through 12/20/2016, and Juanita Gildea, Clerical Assistant 2, District Office, 10/18/16 through 6/30/17, have been added to the list. And Jordan Tim was removed from the list. That is all. Thank you.
We'll do that with the necessary corrections. Thank you.
Tonight in in our agenda, we have a memorandum of understanding with Civic Corps that we're asking the board to approve. I just want to make the point that this has been a great community-based organization with which we have established really outstanding relationship as they work with young people who dropped out of high school. However, they are interested in pursuing greater things in life. And as they work with Civic Corps, our colleges will be working very closely with them and Civic Corps to make sure that they can access higher education. So we're really proud of the fact that we have this memorandum of understanding and we'll be working very closely with Civic Corps. I also want to share with the board that this afternoon I completed my tour of the colleges where I held open forums to share with the constituents the different changes that have happened at the district level, to share with them the vision of why these changes are important for the future of the district. We will have one session here in the boardroom for district employees on October 20th. And very interested in working with PFT, perhaps to have a session with the executive committee of the board. I think that'd probably be a good way for us to have some very close dialogue. This concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. So, board reports, can we start with Trustee Meredith Brown? Or we have is someone to introduce the new person from ACCT, or?
So I'd like to introduce the newest Pacific Region representative to the ACCT Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee, Ms. Meredith Brown. Representing the entire Pacific region. Thank you.
So what happened was, so we, trustees Handy and Bonilla and Gonzalez-Wynn and our Berkeley City president all went to New Orleans for a conference with the Association of Community College Trustees. It was very informative. We learned a lot. And we have had the intent of trying to promote on a national level some of the initiatives that we're working on in California with respect to student success and equity and diversity in particular. And as luck would have it, our advocacy resulted in one of us being put on the diversity committee. So that is a role that I'll be serving now. And the real intent is to provide a toolkit for student services, for trustees to be able to have policies and resources so that they could support their faculty and their students and their staff with regard to increasing diversity and increasing sensitivity to the cultural backgrounds of our students, so that that can be a vehicle to assist students in reaching their academic goals and graduation and retention for our students. So we got a lot of work done. They have you up early, 7:30, 8 o'clock sessions, and they go until about 5 at night. And then, of course, there is the city of New Orleans to enjoy. So we put in pretty full days. And, we're really glad to be able to provide this service. I also want to point out, for any of those who are able to make it, there is a session in Hawaii that will be happening for the ACCT. And the important part about that is that they'll be working on presentations regarding diversity, primarily focusing on people that are from that area of the world, from the South Pacific Islands. And we have a large South Pacific Island population. And one of the things that had been focused on by the API, the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus, was disaggregation of data so that we could focus on those parts of the population that need specific services, that need support, and that have a different experience, cultural experience in the U.S. And so I think that it's really important. Hawaii is a beautiful place. Actually, my brother grew up in American Samoa, and that was home for a while when I would go visit my family. So it's beautiful, but it's also a place where people live, a place where people come from. It's not just a vacation island or something. It's a part of the United States, and then of course the South Pacific Islands are. Some of them are territories, but people have their own cultural experience. So I just want to make sure that we look upon those areas as places of cultural significance and not just vacation spots, because those are the realities of our students that come here and need to work really hard to succeed in this environment, and it's worthy of our support and respect.
Thank you.
I also want to introduce you to the Vice Chair of the African American Trustees Caucus for ACCT, Ms. Meredith Brown.
Okay, some of us just can't have enough work, but it's all about the agenda, the platform, and the student services, and that's what and I just want to point out that most of this is because Linda will start the rally, and I get to pull the wagon through the palace gates when she's busted them open. So she will say something needs to be done, and she'll go, Meredith, write something. So that's,
Okay,
just want to give a little background on that.
thank you. And thank you for the introduction. Okay, thanks.
No report.
Trustee Henry?
Let me just open this. I'm sorry, I have it right here. Again, sometimes that what starts in California, everything seems to start in California and trickle across the world. And 2 years ago, we realized that we were missing a huge opportunity by not having a strong caucus at the ACCT. There are thousands of people that show up for that conference. And where in our region, trustees are elected. It's a vote of confidence from their community that they are serving them. But in some states, many states, trustees are appointed by their governor. So there's often a conflict of interest, and they're often appointed for 14 and 15-year terms. So things can get very, very stagnant. So we saw the need to be able to engage and interact with our trustees from across the country about innovative things that were happening to support their students. So we started this takeover 2 years ago. So she was part of that. So yeah, sometimes you just have to bust open the gates to move through, but the feedback that we got from those who attended was nothing but positive. And we also put into place some of our younger trustees, millennials, who really know how to get our communication pieces together so that trustees across the country can talk to each other about different types of things and programs that are going on, and we can share information. So it was really a good thing, but it was difficult. So I was on the trip, almost didn't make it there. My plane left and then came back to Oakland, but I did get there finally on that Tuesday night. And the next morning, I was still able to make the tour that they had for us to Delgado College. As you know, a lot of Katrina relief, years coming back, they're rebuilding. But one of the things that they said, their mayor, no, I believe it's the governor, was saying that everyone will have a job. And then that trickles down to the colleges having to be really representative of the entire populations. So we got to visit Delgado, where we were, I was so impressed, able to sit into maritime simulators. So you'd walk into a room and you actually were driving a ship on the, what do you call these lakes, rivers? And rivers, well, you know, they call them bayous. You know, we're in Louisiana. They could drop gators into the water. They could drop helicopters doing rescue simulations. They could have a barge come up right beside you. And really, one person got motion sick, even though the room was not moving, but everything was there. And because of that training program, now people who have ship captains or companies, because their people keep running into barges and missing curves, they're actually sending their people back to Delgado College to be retrained. There's also a fire prevention where they actually set the fires in an area. They have this equipment that simulates all types of fires and rescues. So that was incredible. So there were so many things, cosmetology, food services. There were so many wonderful things, but the most important thing that I saw is how they embraced what they call single stops and how they were able to bring all of their services into one area. So we know that students have great needs, but they do the taxes for the families and for the students so that students are able to put in their financial aid forms very early. They have the food bank right there. When a student comes in, they dissect their application forms to see if the student checks that they're an orphan, which immediately triggers that they are a foster student. And then their job is to immediately connect them with services. So all of these services happen in the one area, which is the student services. Childcare is also done on the site. So everything that a student could possibly need happens in this one great area, and they've embraced, the entire colleges have embraced this, where everyone really understands what their job is to connect services all the way around, and their retention rate is out of this world. Because once you remove all of these obstacles, then the student has the freedom to be there and learn. So this is the wonderful part about going to these types of conferences, even though they're brutal because they're from very early until late at night, but the opportunity to see what others are doing and what types of things that we can also copy or share. So thank you. I know it took a long time, but I really wanted to share that with you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sound like it was fun. So kind of on the same pathway, yes, I was there to experience Meredith kind of pulling that wagon, and I was behind just kind of pushing a little bit. So yes, this is exciting for us. So when we attend these conferences, I want you all to think about these conferences not as a place where we just go and kind of listen to what's going on in other parts of the region, but really these are convenings, they're learning convenings where we go and we actually share and learn from each other. And I think that's a really important piece. When we think about our kind of intellectual development and what is it that we are doing and our role in the community college serving students, we really need to learn from others, their challenges, their successes, and most important, I believe, is their challenges, because we can only figure out how we can make headway in improving our services to students by learning from those who have experienced challenges. One of the things, and I love traveling with both of my fellow trustees here because they have such a wealth of knowledge. As Linda was, our trustee, Handy was talking about this navigation simulator that she was in. I actually learned that the Mississippi River in New Orleans at its deepest point, which is just in Algiers, which is right off of New Orleans, is about 200 feet deep. So the channel is very, very, very deep, and you see barges going and ships, tankers carrying containers and moving materials. So fascinating area. So it's a port city, and the development of that obviously influences what they're training at the at the community college. Excuse me. I also want to share that at this conference, I went a couple of days early for an invitational symposium, and the symposium was fascinating as we're listening to research that is kind of budding research around what are some of the indicators around success, what are some of the predictors that we can utilize at our own institutions to determine student success. And one of the first reports, and I'll definitely share this with anyone who's interested, one of the first ones was putting students first. Our community colleges preparing their alumni for success careers. And although they were sharing preliminary data, what was really, really key was that the data they were showing us were predictions on how well you're serving your students. So what they did was they looked at a 10-year alumni project out from graduates of 20 different universities to see how well they were doing in terms of their professional careers and salaries. And based on those predictions, they went back and looked at those community colleges to determine what were those colleges doing around student services, around financial aid, around teacher salaries, around childcare services, all of the different pieces that they then utilize as predictions of success. The type of courses, the mixed degrees that you're offering, and so fascinating information there. And what I want to do with this framework is utilize it for the rest of us as trustees and as administrators to make sure that we stay focused on not only outcomes, what have we done, as someone at the conference referred to, your past performance data is dead information. Already happened, you can't do anything about that. But your predictions are much more informative because you're setting goals and you're achieving and you're measuring yourself whether you're going to be able to attain or exceed your expectations and the goals that you set forward. So I thought that was just one phenomenal piece of research done by a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Rothwell. The second piece, which was even more profound for me, was another piece of research called Family Values, how the system negates family values of the poor. When we look at this particular research, it talks about the largest share of students in the community colleges nationwide, and breaks down their profile as to whether they are parents, students, mothers, fathers, and 40% of all women in community colleges are mother, and women make up the majority of the student population at two-year colleges. And we are part of that, of those statistics. The piece on this, which is really connects with kind of our predictions, is what are we doing to support our students? And in this particular research, what are we doing to support our mothers who make up a significant portion? And so they talked about investment in resources, and although that we know childcare happens to be one of the most expensive resources that we can pull together, that we can invest in, the outcome far outweighs the initial investment, because your enrollment, your completion rate, your degrees, all of that is going to increase. So I don't want to hound too much on this. Obviously, the conference was amazing. New Orleans was very warm, humid, a lot of fun, but the conference overall I enjoy, and again, encourage us to participate more actively in presenting some of the work that I anticipate us doing here at Peralta at some of the forthcoming conferences. Thank you.
I'll just add on the ACCT conference that I went to a session, the particular session that I found valuable was a session on providing community college classes to incarcerated people in the county jails, people in the prisons, and then people who have been recently released. And I think it's a model that would be well worth us exploring, putting together the range of funds from the Sheriff's Department, from the, our normal apportionment, grant funding, et cetera, to pursue this. And San Diego has done a pretty good job, it seems like, of building out that model. I think we could probably learn from that district, and I hope that in fact, that we will pursue this. We're wasting our communities. We're devastating our communities with our so-called criminal justice system. And if we can figure out how to do a better job of providing opportunities for people who are in jail and in prison, I think as a state, we will benefit enormously, and I think frankly, as a district, we'll benefit enormously. So that's something I hope we can follow up on. There were a number of other important opportunities for learning and modeling. So I was pleased to be there with my colleagues.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, hello everyone. This past week, I've attended the Associated Students of College of Alameda meeting and got along with them, gave my report as student trustee. And then I went to the SSCCC Region 3 meeting on October 8th, Saturday, where we discussed and trained delegates from not just the Peralta District, but the whole region, the Bay Area region, so that they can be ready to vote on resolutions during the SSCCC General Assembly, which will be held November 11th to 13th in Sacramento, California. I have personally authored resolutions, so I'm going to be debating on the mics with 4 of my resolutions ready. Since it's already October, we have kicked off the Filipino American History Month celebration at Berkeley City College through Club Rush. So we had some Filipino music there playing. And then this afternoon, I've actually tabled to get more people involved and aware of our existence and also about Filipino American history. And a series of events coming up at BCC that I'm going to be hosting and leading. So this week, we're going to be having the Delano Manong's event screening with President Tomaning. So it's going to be this Thursday, October 13th from 12:20 to 1:20, and then the second one will be 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And then the second one will be, that I'll be teaching is the elementary Tagalog instruction. So basically teaching a few words or how to construct sentences in Tagalog during Monday, October 24th, 12:20 to 1:20 p.m. And then the most awaited part is the Filipino Barrio Fiesta, October 26th, 12:20 to 1:20 p.m. in the atrium. And I'm still currently awaiting for the confirmation of Assemblymember Rob Bonta for keynote speaker. So we have those events. If you'd like to get more information, you can visit our Facebook group at BCC Philippine X Student Alliance. So you can join us through that. And Marquita and I have already started and determined the date for the PSC retreat, which will be October 28th to 29th at Merritt College. We'll be hosting a series of trainings as well as how the district works. So just what board policies affect us. So what board policies are like really affecting us directly as ASOs and as students, and also leadership styles and learning about them, as well as Robert's Rules and Brown Act. So thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to carry on from what Trustee Ewan talked about. I unfortunately had a conflict and couldn't go to New Orleans for the ACCD conference, but it's now legal in the state of California. For many, many years, it was not legal. As a matter of fact, I brought it up in a forum as a very naive new trustee about 11 years ago, and actually three forums, and I got a call from someone in Sacramento saying that, basically threatening me that to use funds designated for education in the state of California could not be, and under any circumstances, used for someone who was incarcerated. I think that, without carrying it too far, I think now Senator Lonnie Hancock was instrumental following a number of people who had worked on it and got it passed. But it's my understanding, the Chancellor can expound on this, I'm sure, that it's not as clean as what we might think in terms of what we can do and how we can do it and what funds we can use. But it's definitely something that I would strongly endorse that we investigate, and as a, not only for Peralta, but as a social need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. We're going to move now to Peralta Classified Senate. President Bryce.
Thank you, President Riley. Good evening, trustees, chancellor, administrators, faculty, staff, and students. I have a brief report for the Peralta Classified Senate from our meeting in September, but I'd like to first thank Brandy Howard for filling in for me last week. As I said, when I first came here, there are times when I definitely won't be able to make it for staffing reasons, but it's good to have classified senators who can step in for you and have your back. And I have very good senators at Berkeley, at Laney, at COA, and also at Merritt College. A couple of topics of discussion that came up in our meeting was one was accreditation and the visit for this month, and how we want to be prepared as classified staff to know what's going on, not only in your area, but also what's happening on your campus. And also we talked about the work that that everyone did, but especially the classified staff did in the process of the accreditation report. And they do this work in addition to their regular jobs that they do on a daily basis. Other than accreditation, we also talked about the classified hiring processes. There's always concern about classified hiring processes. We can see, they bring it to my attention that they can see where sometimes administration positions can be filled in weeks, whereas it takes months and sometimes years to fill classified positions. Actually, I think on Monday I'm going to be interviewing for a custodial position at Merritt for a position that's been open between 18 and 24 months. So we're moving slowly, but we like to move a little better and move in a cohesive unit. Right now, BCC and COA have public information officers. That was the position that we had, that every campus had a while back. Laney is re-advertising for that, but at Merritt, we're just in the discussion stage right now. We want to make sure that if there's a position at one campus, and the need is there, it should be at all the campuses. Also, we talked about the training that we'd like to see about classified development training. We're looking forward to the Classified Leadership Institute. As Trustee Bonilla mentioned, how you can get around your peers and you learn much from them. We found that out when we went to the Classified Leadership Institute. I think it was in 2014, the Merritt College Classified Senate. And we did that based on the fact we were recognized as a model classified senate. And we want to make sure that all our classified senates, including our Peralta classified senate, is recognized as a model classified senate. Other than that, there is concern about we understand the faculty's concern about, and also the students' concern about our facilities. We are working, we have gotten additional gardeners hired, we have gotten additional engineers hired for instance, at Merritt College, and I said we're also hiring custodians. So we're looking to really get our facilities up to par, up to a level that's acceptable. Not only with we have different levels of cleanliness that we want to try to maintain. We're definitely not where we need to be. We want to get to a level where it's almost similar to what you might see in the higher schools or in certain stores you go to. Because in my viewpoint, a level 1 cleaning priority or a level 1 status is more like a hospital. And a level 2, from what I've seen, I go around, what I like to see is casinos. Casinos seem to keep their restrooms very clean. And we know they're around there all the time. They're just doing this and doing that. But we got to kind of instill that within our people. We're working on doing that by giving them more training, giving them more incentive, giving them to understand the purpose behind what they're doing. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have the District Academic Senate, President Smith.
Good evening, President Riley and our other board members. Thank you all for being here, making the time, doing the work that you do. Chancellor Laguerre, his administrative staff, and our college president. So on behalf of the District Academic Senate, I would just like to take a little time to share with you some developments, some highlights from the District Academic Senate's perspective, and also just to balance, a lot of the narrative that we often hear, unfortunately, because of the positions that you have, the influence that you have. Very often, when things are not in order, we do come to you for some support. But I'd also like to just share with you some things that are happening so that you can have confidence in what's happening in the district, and to know that things are going fairly well in Peralta. So I just wanted to share some of the developments as Associate Dean Brown presented a month ago. Her work with enrollment management. She is currently working closely with our District Academic Senate to ensure that our enrollment management planning is informed by a philosophical context of enrollment management from a faculty perspective. And so we're really encouraged by her willingness to work with us closely to ensure that whatever we do, whatever path we set on, is informed very, very much so by the perspective of our faculty members who spend a really significant amount of time with our students. Chancellor Laguerre has worked with the District Academic Senate as well as the PFT leadership to arrange a trip to San Diego Community College District to review their budget allocation model and also their budgeting and planning process. In that trip, we will be meeting with faculty leaders, as well as administrators to gain insight not only into the processes that they employ, but also the ways in the relationships between the different constituency groups turn well-written processes into effective practices. With Common Assessment, the District Research Office, Vice Chancellor Ambrise Galaviz, faculty from each of the English, math, and ESL departments from each of our colleges have been working to keep up with the developments, or actually the lack of developments, from our State Chancellor's office. Their work has been monumental. The relationships that have been built through it interdepartmentally have been exceptional. And all of this, we feel, has been made possible not only by the urgency of the moment, but by the responsiveness of our administrative managers. With distance education, Dr. Orkin and Dr. Inger Stark have been facilitating outstanding work with the college distance ed coordinators to take the colleges through an inquiry of our course management system and possible systems in what appears to be the eventual transition to a new course management platform, Canvas. Their work and focus has been beyond transitioning to Canvas. It has also included accessibility support, course design standards, and underprepared student support in the online setting. Yet again, another example of our administrative managers and leaders working very closely with our faculty in the District Academic Senate. Another area that I'd like to just share with you are some developments with our workforce development and continuing education unit and the career technical education at the colleges. The Doing What Matter fundings that follows the Strong Workforce Task Force recommendations has come to the district, and with it, many sophisticated reporting and performance-based funding requirements. Yes, just in case we haven't noticed, performance-based funding is in California. It's not officially named so, but we can see from the mandates that it is so. At the same time, Dr. Laguerre's local version of Doing What Matters, that's my own personal naming of the Workforce Development and Continuing Ed unit, because it is doing what matters locally for us and is also known, and so that is flowering. There is friction now, just to be quite honest, about managing the dual initiatives primarily from a single source of funding, the Doing What Matters. This friction isn't caused by any of the individuals involved, nor by any conflicting visions, but instead the friction is caused by the limited resources and the overwhelming needs of our community, our colleges, our faculty, staff, and administrators. I have no doubt, especially from the relationships that have been built over the last few weeks and months, that we will push through this liminal space positively, and the manner in which we do so will predict the successes of our future endeavors. So there, like I said before, there's no shortage of challenges in this district. There's also no shortage of encouraging practices that are so common that we don't often recognize them, and we certainly don't recognize them and honor them enough. One other, just to follow up some of the comments that have been made earlier, the District Academic Senate will be joining our union to advocate for our part-time faculty in their office hours. 48% of our part-time faculty are not paid a single office hour, are not paid a single hour for office hours that they conduct, if they conduct them at all. And we know how we place so much of our instructional burden on our part-time faculty. And so that's another way of just looking at how little contact or how little access our students have to their faculty members. And so it's not just a contractual matter, it is a teaching and learning matter. And the District Academic Senate will be standing by our union to advocate for our part-time faculty. Just to follow up with Trustee Ewan and Winthrop's comments about incarcerated and formerly incarcerated students. This is a personal plug I am going to share. I am working with the State Academic Senate, and one of my assignments is specifically MEd Ed. And just also to highlight the fact that locally, we do have a model program for our formerly incarcerated students, and that's Street Scholars, and it is housed at Merritt College. They're doing really great work, and the chancellor and the presidents this summer received the presentation about expanding their work throughout the district. And so please be on the lookout for those developments. Senator Hancock's work specifically impacted UC Berkeley students' program called Underground Scholars. The Underground Scholars are doing work not only with Peralta colleges, but throughout the state. And so that is another resource that we have access to. And right across the street from Berkeley City College is the Opportunity Institute, who are hand in hand with California Forward, as well as the State Chancellor's Office, helping with our inmate ed and formerly incarcerated student support. And then also, just additionally, one last comment, on the 18th of November at Delta College, at San Joaquin Delta College, the State Academic Senate will be hosting a convening for supporting formerly incarcerated students and launching communities of practice that faculty, administrators, and staff can participate in, so that we all can develop locally stronger support programs for our students, and eventually from there really start linking in with community organizations and also governmental organizations to support this population. As a presentation I saw last weekend really highlighted, supporting our formerly incarcerated students will support all of our students. And so with that, I thank you, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move to consent calendar. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Move there second. We had an item that was pulled, item 23 for discussion.
Yes, Mr. President. So on item 23, this is an IT contract for the Best Center over at Laney College. And the Best Center, it's this incredible kind of leading edge building focusing on environmental sustainability. And I'm very proud that we have it in the district. What I'm confused about with this particular item, though, is why we're doing an after-the-fact infrastructure contract, and why the original design did not include full design and installation of the IT infrastructure. It might be that there's a perfectly good explanation, but my experience is typically that if you do stuff after the fact, it's a lot more money. And so I just wanted the administration to help us understand why this was coming after the original designs and bids and all that were done.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Nguyen. I can't speak to the original.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Chancellor, are you answering it?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, the timing is such that now is the right time to do the infrastructure for the data cabling and the phone cabling. So for whatever reason, this work was left out of the original design. So staff has been working with Net Experts, which is a vendor that's been approved by the Foundation for California Community Colleges and the program that the Chancellor's Office has endorsed. And so we've been working with them for 3 months to actually design the infrastructure work that has to happen right now at the Best Center. So the walls are still open, the ceilings are still not up, so now is the time to put in the cabling before we put the final walls up and the ceilings up. So it's part of the critical path, actually, and that's why we bring it before you this evening.
So it's the for whatever reason part that I'd like a little more detail on, because we had architects, we had designers, we have a general services department that oversees our contracting process, and so it's that for whatever reason, because that's when we run into the cost overruns and so forth. Typically, if it's built into the design and the architecture, et cetera, when you do the original bid, that's all included in. When after you've done that, then you're going back and now rebidding it and slowing the process down. So whose responsibility was it to approve the original design, and why? What happened there? What happened in our process as a district that we let that slip, so that now we're adding an additional $50,000 of cost? So that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we'd probably still have the $52,000 because that wasn't included in the bid. But I think the issues that we have, which I have identified as a problem, and I've worked with the IT staff about, is that a lot of times when planning is taking place, it's done in isolation, whereby the information technology leadership is not present when those discussions are taking place, and therefore sometimes at some colleges you have that issue that happened. It's not germane to Peralta. I have been at other institutions where I had inherited that, and one of the things that I made sure that I put in place was that IT needed to be firmly involved in any and every aspect of facilities planning. That's how you don't forget that you need to have IT in your facilities, and especially nowadays that our buildings depend so much on technology. It makes perfect sense for that to happen. So you'll receive a presentation by the IT staff at our upcoming retreat, where they'll share with you what we are putting in place to make sure that these things don't happen. And I also have, I'm advocating for the facilities committee as well as the technology committee to merge as one committee at the district level, because some of this planning takes place or should take place within these committees, and therefore having IT and facilities speaking the same language, speaking at the same table is something that we definitely have to have happen. But because of whatever issues we've had in IT in the past, I think this kind of mishaps is not unusual at all to see. But from now on, we are correcting it so that this doesn't happen again.
So I'm glad to see that structural fix being done, and I'm still not convinced. We have architects.
We can't resolve it.
And
We can't resolve it. Trustee Brown?
okay.
So I think we might be looking at different concepts here. What generally happens in the construction process in the critical path is that you have a general contractor that will hire out engineers that are sub-consultants that will do your mechanical engineering and that will do your structural engineering. And then you have the general contractor that does your general building of the building. And then the IT, which is a separate expertise, is put into the critical path at the time that the walls are open. And what we need as a district is an informational technology plan that's integrated with our faculty, needs in terms of education. So we need our instructional services, we need our faculty, and we need our IT people, as the Chancellor had mentioned, to coordinate with respect to how we're going to deliver the educational services to our students and use information technology, use our IT department and our IT capacities to facilitate that. But it is not something that is incorporated into the general contractor's bid because they don't have that expertise. If you look under the California Code of the State Contractors Licensing Board, under general contracting, there's an A and a B license, and there's engineering and there's general construction, and they don't include IT because it's a specialty. So I just want everybody to understand that what we're talking about is the need to have an informational system that is integrated with our academic system, with our instructional system, because we're using things like Canvas and we're using things like this online learning and this interactive learning. And that's what we need to have our IT plan facilitate, the learning that our faculty is going to deliver. And we want to be able to make sure that we have the appropriate broadband capacity, which will go out 10 years. And so those are the things that we need integrated into our IT master plan. And so what I would hope that we'd be doing soon, and we've discussed this with the Chancellor, is revisit our strategic plan so that we're making sure that our instructional services are integrated with our IT services so that they're not in isolation. But this is not something that you bid under a general contractor's license because it's a specialty and it would be an entirely different license, and it's not something that a general contractor can manage because that's not their area of expertise.
All right. So let's move this item. All in favor? I mean, the consent agenda. All opposed? Okay, we're going to move now to action item number 11. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. There's a second. Discussion.
I'll second it for discussion purposes, Mr. President.
Yes.
I have a concern about this particular item, and it doesn't have anything to do with Laney College. It doesn't have anything to do with the definition of their needs or the delineation of the makeup of the computer equipment that they are looking for. But I have a social issue. In the past, I've sat silent, along with many other of the trustees up here, to let things pass and then hear after the fact that there was overwhelming support for a particular issue. And I just want to voice that I won't be supporting this because of a social issue. I consider Apple Computer as a corporation to be a renegade. They allegedly, and from many sources, have indicated they have $280 billion, that's with a B as in boy, billion dollars in offshore locations, and they haven't paid U.S. taxes on it to the tune of $98 billion. That may not be a large figure in Washington, D.C., but in my mind, that is a substantial figure. So I will be voting against this item and request a roll call vote.
Roll call. Roll call vote. Any other discussion?
I had something on this particular.
Go, Kim.
Well, as I was reading this, I thought, well, okay, it's great, we're getting new updated equipment. I know it's been a while since they have it, but I was glad to see that it was June 30th before the completion of this, because I just want to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place that will protect this equipment. Because it's like we order equipment, they're watching us here, and then the equipment is stolen before it gets to the classroom. So I just want to make sure that all of the safety features are in place, that everything is bolted down so that we can actually get what we needed, because it's been a challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Bonilla?
Aye.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen? Trustee Withrow?
Nay.
Trustee Riley?
Aye. Item passes. Let's move to the end of our agenda. I would just like to say that before Madam Vice President gives her closing comments, that on November 8th is the day of election. You can start voting now, so you can vote on or before November 8th. So please do your duty to vote. That is your privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So announcements for this evening. The next board meeting the next board retreat will be held on October 25th in the District Boardroom. And the next regular board meeting will be held November 15th in the District Boardroom. And the last item is the board extends their sympathy to the family, friends, and colleagues on the untimely passing of John T. Nedgley, who was a trustee with Contra Costa Community College District for 22 years. We would like to take a moment of silence for him, and we'll adjourn our meeting in his memory. Thank you.
Okay, very good.